There is so much noise that is constantly bombarding us. And it can affect us not only mentally, but it can affect us physically in the gym. And how do we get around that? How do we work through it? What does it mean to be strong both inside and outside the gym? That's what we are talking about in today's episode. So strap in and get ready for episode 074. Let's go.
I've always been that skinny guy.
Why can't I gain muscle mass?
What do I do in the gym?
They said I'd always be skinny.
This is your complete source for how to gain lean muscle and break out of your skinny body. From nutrition to getting the most out of your workouts and everything in between. We know just how frustrating gaining muscle mass can be, but don't worry, we've got you covered. You're listening to the Bones to Bulk podcast.
Hello, welcome to today's episode. My name is Brian Parody, and I will be your host today. And in all honesty, today has been one of those days. Just kind of one of those crappy days. I hate to say that because I try to have a grateful attitude, but in all honesty, we all have days that just maybe aren't necessarily the best. And that's okay. I have to become comfortable with admitting that it's okay to have a bad day because I struggle with that myself. I struggle with, no, I have to have it all together and I can't pretend that, I might not be there. Like, I have to know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. I have to have clear direction and all these things that we kind of feed into of what we identify with as a human being, right? We all have, maybe it's our work that we identify ourselves with, or maybe it's our family, or maybe it's, a hobby we have, or a side hustle, whatever it may be. We all have those things that we kind of wrap our identity with. And so what happens is when we're having that bad day and those things aren't going well, then guess what? Then that affects our mental state because we are so wrapped up with our identity in that thing that it really, really hits us hard when we feel like we're out of sync with that. Now, maybe you can relate to this. I know for me, again, like I just said, it's hard sometimes for me to be honest with how I'm doing on both the mental and physical level. Sometimes I go so fast and so hard through things that I don't stop and take the time to really evaluate and just kind of do that little check-in. It doesn't have to be this big ordeal or anything, but just that slow, small, hey, how is Brian doing today? And this is important not just for our mental state, but it's important for our physical state because you probably have experienced this, but if you've been to the gym, you know that when you go in and you're having a bad day, yes, the gym will help with that stress and with that bad mood or whatever it may be, and you'll come out feeling a lot better. But at the same time, you're probably, and maybe not because everybody deals with it the same way, but your lifts are probably going to suffer a little bit just because when our headspace is clear and we walk into that gym knowing that we're where we need to be, we're aligned, or at least not where we need to be, but we're at least on track to go where we need to be, because I don't think we're ever where we need to be. There's always improvement that we need to make. But when we're in that line, in that center, focused laser beam, we tend to, and I say we, I should be saying me. I feel more that I'm ready to go in and kick ass in the gym when that occurs. And so when there's other that's just my personality, but when there's external things going on, it affects me and it affects my lift. So what do we do to move past that? What do we do to kind of overcome that situation that we may be in, whether it's, directly related to something we did or something somebody else has done to us or something we're just going through, like a period or stage of life, or whether it's something hard going on at work, whatever the issue at hand is, we first off have to admit that it's there. We can't just pretend and go full speed that it's not there and go about our daily life because it's going to catch up to us. So the first step, we've got to admit hey, something's off today. What is it? And then the next thing is what's off something that I did? Am I at fault here? And if we are, take ownership and fix that issue, whether it's going to someone, whether it's, fixing a mistake with work, whatever it may be. And if it's not on us, then there's not much we can do as far as our physical action, right? We can't control other people, but we can control how we respond, how we, relate to that person. Maybe it's someone who has offended us. We can control how we respond, whether we choose to kind of overlook it and think just highly and the best of that person, or we can kind of take the self-loathing, like, oh, you did this, yada, 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 and that really does nothing for us but tears us down. So from that, I kind of want to segue into, our mental state matters with our fitness. And oftentimes when we get in the fitness game, what happens is we get this huge boost of motivation, right? Like this is our time. We're going to gain muscle. We're going to, just crush our goals. This is my year, right? And then what happens? Life happens. A curveball gets thrown at you. People are like, is that really the best thing to be doing what you're doing with those weights? Shouldn't you be doing this instead? Or you need to get on this diet. What you're doing with that diet's not working, because obviously, like, look at you. And all these voices just start to cloud. All these voices start to just attack. And you kind of shrink and you kind of go into this mode of, maybe what I'm doing isn't right. And we begin to second guess ourselves and to question what just possibly a few days or weeks ago we felt so strongly and confident in. I know this because I've experienced it. I experience it on a regular basis. And it's not something to hide or shrink from, or that needs to be swept under the carpet and ignored. But we have to realize, like, who are we in this game for? Are we in it for all the people that are saying all the different things? Are we doing it solely to impress them? Are we doing it solely to maybe look better in their eyes or meet a certain standard that somebody else has placed on us? Because if that's the reason, then we're going to fail. It might last for a while, but eventually that's not enough. And so what we really have to hone in on, what we really have to focus in on, is, why do I need this? Why do I need to go in and lift these pieces of iron around and make this happen? Why do I need to gain muscle for me? And what happens is, when we shift that focus to that, what happens is no longer do those voices have as much say in our life, because we can then say, I'm doing this because I need this for XYZ. And that person or that person, they don't understand who I am, where I'm at, what I've been through that has led me to where I'm at today. People don't understand the context of us, at least people who aren't close to us. They don't understand the struggles we've faced or the insecurities we've felt. They haven't lived inside of our minds. Only we know what goes on in there. And so for someone to come along and to have this final say over our lives because it's what they think, or it's what worked for them, or whatever the reason, that gives them the power. And we're shifting out of our context into somebody else's context. So we've got to be careful not to do that. We've got to be careful to hold close our purpose, our why. For why I'm in there bettering myself, why I'm in that gym slinging weights around when I could be sleeping, why I'm choosing to walk by the box of donuts and instead grab my protein shake that I brought with me, why I'm choosing to live a life that is different than what may seem normal to others. And yes, this is deep, but it's so important. And in 100% honesty, it's something that I am dealing with right now, today. And that's not a bad thing. It doesn't make us weak, make us less than because we're struggling with those thoughts. But it does take us looking back inside and being like, why am I doing this? Why am I choosing to do something different? And do I know with everything inside me that this is where I'm supposed to be at? Now, I'm not saying that you can't take advice from people. I'm not saying you can't take constructive criticism, because that can build us up. But if it's unwelcomed advice, or if it's from someone that's maybe we don't need to be taking advice from, then we have to draw that line. We have to protect ourselves. There's nothing wrong with that. So I just want to encourage you, if you're struggling with this issue at all, hold tight to who you know you are and go run with that. You can accomplish whatever goal you have for you. You've got this.